Hello, my name is Rob Garner. I'm a computer programming instructor, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to use debugging features in C++ with Visual Studio. So here I've got a program and that's up and running, and so notice this gray bar on the left-hand side. To use the debugging features, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a stop point. In fact, I'm going to set a couple stop points, and I'm going to run in debug mode. So to run in debug mode, you'll notice you have a debug menu, and you can refer to this to see what the functions are. And the ones we're going to primarily use are F5 for starting debugging. Control F5 to start without debugging is what we would use if we weren't using it, but we're going to use F5 to start debugging. And then we also have step into with F11, step over with F10, and we also will have a step out function as well. So I'm going to go ahead and run in debug mode. You can also start debugging by clicking on this button here. So I'm going to start debugging, and we can see that it'll build your project. And we could see this yellow arrow here. This is that it is stopped at my first stop point. So it declared these variables, num people, total cost, and room type. And you can see down either by hovering over each of the variables what the current values are, or if you look down here in our locals, we can see num nights, num people, room type are all defined. And you know, right now there isn't anything in them because we've declared them, but we haven't initialized them. Our window is also open, and what I usually do is I bring this over and I snap it to the right side so that I can see both the, and I arrange my window so I can see the window with the run over here and then my code over here. So now what I can do is you can see we have some icons up here. Step over is the one that you primarily use to go from step to step, and that's also got a shortcut key of F10. I'm going to click on, you can also get these in here as well. You can see step into, step over, step out, and you can also use the icons here, or better yet, remember the shortcut keys. So step over is F10, step into a function is F11, and step out of a function is Shift F11. So I'm going to step over, and you can see that it did the next step, and it went to the next line of code, which is write greeting, which is a function. If I want to see the execution run into this function, which is actually defined down here, write greeting, what I have to do is, instead of step over, I'm going to click on step into. If I click on step into, notice that it goes to the to the function. If I had just stepped over the function, it would have still done everything in the function, but it wouldn't have stepped into the function and allowed me to see the execution each time. So I'm going to step over a couple lines of code, and you can see that it did the see out, and we can see it over here in our console. I'm now going to step out of the function. So I could keep stepping through the function, but instead I'm going to click on step out. It still will do, if there's any steps left in this function, I would still do them. But step out allows me to just say, finish up the function and go back to where this function was called. I'm going to move this stop point down a little bit so that we can get a more complex function. And again, I'm going to step over. And we can see here, now it's asking us how many people will be staying in here. So it's doing this how many nights, or it's doing the how many people function. I'm going to put in 2 and hit enter. And we can see now completed this. If I hover over num people, we can see that it has 2. Again, I got another function. I'm going to step over that function and it will execute that function. I'll put 2 in again, and we can see then how many nights came back and stored 2. We can also see down here, num nights got the assignment to 2. So you can look in either the window or hover over a variable to see what the values are. So this allows us to step through our functions and see them execute. Again, so let's say I want to step into this what type of room function. I can click into step into. I'm now inside the function. And I can now, once I'm in the function, I can step over each of these sections. So here we can see we're making this vector, vrooms, and if I hover over vrooms, I can actually hit this down arrow and I can see all the elements that are in this. So right now, parking lot view went in. If I click step over one more time, or F10, and now hover over vrooms, I can see I've got 2 elements. And again, I also have it down here. I can see that I have these 2 elements. Parking lot with view went in and swimming pool with view went in. I'm going to step over this next one. vrooms now has 3 elements in it. And now I'm in this loop. Now let's say that I don't want to step through every element of this loop, but I want to pick up back here with the cout. I can put a stop point here and I can click on this button, continue. And debug, you can see also continue. Notice that continue is the same command as it was to start the debugger in the first place, which is F5. So you could hit F5 or click on continue, and it'll run through this entire loop and then stop on this stop point. So that's how we can continue. And so it went through the whole loop, displayed everything, and I didn't have to step through every single line. So we can use that to kind of jump through each of these sections. So if I wanted to go through the input, I can hit continue again and get my input, and now I'm back down here. Now, if I don't want to keep going through this function, again, I can click on this F11, Shift F11 or step out. It will still execute all of these, everything that's remaining, but it's just that I won't have to watch it step through everything. And so now, right now, room type is equal. It completed the function. It's got a value back, but it hasn't done the assignment yet. When I step over this one more time, room type has gotten the assignment, and because I picked 2, which is swimming pool with a view, I can see that that in fact went into this variable room type. So again, just to demonstrate, I'm going to step into this function. If I were to do step over, it would do the function, but it just wouldn't allow me to see the execution inside the function. By stepping into the function, I can see, oh, sometimes you'll see this. Because this function has a return type of string, it sometimes jumps into the actual library code. And you don't want to read all this. So what you do is just hit, if you see that, just hit step out. It'll bring you back to your function call, then step in again, and it'll get you to your function call. And again, you can just step through and watch the execution happen. Look at the variables as they get their assignments. And then when you're done with that, you can hit step out. It'll still continue running the rest of the code. I'm going to step over one more time, and I can see total cost is here. When you're done with debugging, if you don't want to continue anymore, you can hit this stop button. It's a red sign here, and again, if you ever get lost and you can't remember what you needed to do, just open up the debug menu and look at these commands. The primary ones you're going to use are continue, start, stop, and then step into, step over, and step out. And I'm just going to stop debugging. I've seen what I wanted. If I stop debugging, it stops the program, and we're done. So that's a summary of how debugging works in Visual Studio, and thank you very much.